Hi everyone, and welcome to today's edition of your Edmonton Electrician, where we bring customer service back to the trades. In today's edition of your Edmonton Electrician, we're going to be talking about fishing cables and fishing wires through walls, through tight spaces. As always, at Hauer Power Electrical, we are happy to answer all of our customers' questions and concerns. If you have a topic you want to hear about, we want to hear about that topic. As your professional Edmonton electrician, our mission is to provide you with power through customer service. So our passions here at Hauer Power is living room pot lights, kitchen pot lights, recessed lighting. Those LED pot lights that you put in your ceiling are just the bee's knees when it comes to lighting in a living room. Your average living room is going to have a switched lamp for the biggest room in the house. And why they build it like that, we don't know. But it makes for a great after effect to put in pot lights. And that's where we come in. As your electrical contractor, we're always happy to put in pot lights in your home or business. Coming back to stud finders, there's another method of stud finder you can have in commercial facilities. It's more common, magnet ball. And what that magnet ball is going to look like is it's going to look like a little rubber band, almost a really thick, rigid rubber band with a rare earth magnet on the end. And you can slide that along the studs, and when it finds a stud, it's gonna stick to that point in the wall. And then that way you can lay out your steel stud framing and see exactly where those studs are, so you know where to fish through. In a residential home, maybe you have wood construction again, you can still use magnets. There's always a different type of magnet tools. You can have what are they called? It's got a magnet pole system, and you can roll it on the wall, and you'll have a magnet in the wall, and you can glide it down the wall through the use of the magnet. Now, sometimes that'll work with insulation, sometimes it won't. If you're ever fishing through insulation, you don't want to drill. You don't want to spin your bit, because it's just going to bind up with all that insulation and just make a mess. Then when you pull that insulation out, you're going to have a cold spot in your wall, and you might damage your vapor barrier, which could create mold issues down the line, down the road. And you don't want either of those issues. So if you're drilling through an insulated wall to fish cables in an insulated wall, you always want to drill counterclockwise if you need to drill at all. If you do need to drill forward, you might face some issues with insulation buildup. Just bear that in mind when you're drilling through your walls. Another thing too you're going to encounter oftentimes if we do a Nest thermostat or maybe a Nest doorbell, or any smart doorbell or any smart thermostat, if you need an extra wire for it, you're going to need to get down into your furnace room and get an extra wire to your furnace. And oftentimes what you'll find is a fire block in between your thermostat and your furnace. Right in that middle of that wall, you're going to have a fire block or a fire stop. Now what that block is it's going to be a 2x4 that's perpendicular to your vertical studs. And that perpendicular 2x4 is going to impede you when you're trying to fish cables down. Otherwise, you could just drop it down, drill a hole through the top plate, and then it's going to come right down into your basement. But with this fire block, fire stop, there's other methods around it. If you use a flex bit and you push it through, if you don't drill it through just right, you can pop through the drywall on each side. Now, at Hauer Power Electrical, we have tricks of the trade, such as a golf ball. You can put a golf ball through this flex bit, and now it's going to provide the gap, the distance needed between that drywall. So you're not drilling through the drywall at the easiest corner. You're going to drill through the fire stop where you want to drill through. Or you can use a tennis ball, or you can use a bumper ball. They make all sort of products. You can create your own product. You can get as creative as you want with it. But these bumper balls or flex balls are going to help you a great deal when you're trying to fish through fire blocks or fire stops in a residential home. Another thing to take note of is when you're drilling through a fire stop or a fire block, you're always going to want to fire caulk that if you can, maybe with a gap filler, expanding foam. If there is a fire, now that fire stop has been compromised, in which case the fire can travel right through, and it just defeats the whole purpose of that in the first place. The fire stop's purpose is so that if there's a fire on one of the levels, it's not going to rise or lower to the other level and travel through the studs and just spread the fire. It's supposed to stop it, hence the fire stop. If you have the opportunity to fire caulk it, that's perfect. Otherwise, you can get expanding foam fire stop fillers, and those work just well too. Another thing to keep in mind with fish tapes is the most common thing that we like to do with a fish tape, and a lot of guys don't do it. It's very simple though. You have 2 fish tapes and 2 guys or girls, 1 electrician on either end, and you're gonna tie a nest of twine wire onto this 1 fish tape, and you're gonna have maybe 3, 4, 5 loops of this twine, of this rope around your 1 fish tape. Stick that through, and your other fish tape's gonna have a hook, and that hook's gonna be tight, but it's gonna have an open end on it. And now when you try to match them through, instead of trying to line up 2 fish tapes together like that and pull it through, you're going to be able to have a ball of nest, and you're going to have a better chance of catching one of those twines and then pulling that through, or pulling it through the other way, whichever's up to you. But that's the number 1 method that we like to use for fishing. It's non-invasive, it's clean, and it typically doesn't involve a whole lot of drilling. So that's getting more into our methods of how we like to fish things through walls. When you do that flex bit that we were talking about with a fire stop, when you drill it, you're going to want to pulse your fish stick down, your fishing your rod, your shank bit. You're going to want to pulse that on the forward motion, and then when you get to the back, you're going to want to grab it, pull it back, push it hard, and slam it. That way you can feel that it's into the wood and it's dug into the wood. Then you can pulse it through that wood, and you'll be able to feel the difference of whether it's drilling through wood or whether it's drilling through drywall. If you can't feel the difference, call your local professional electrical contractor, because they will know the difference if they've experienced fishing cables in old homes and commercial facilities. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. That's why you want to hire us. Now, coming back to the masking tape layout, there's another method some people do, is a chalk line. To mark out your studs. You can see the structural integrity, you can see the stud layout and mark it out that way. The problem with a chalk line is just that, is it is chalk on your wall. Even if it's white chalk, you can't really see it too well. If it's yellow chalk, now you're going to have yellow lines on your ceiling. Some people just say you just can't see it after, but if you look at it, you will see it, and that's not a professional method of installation. That's why we use masking tape, because it's non-invasive, non-intrusive, doesn't damage your ceiling, and we can remove it afterwards and no one can tell a thing. It looks just the same as it was before because it was just tape. Doesn't damage anything, and it clearly marks the layout. Masking tape is the way to go. Ignore the chalk line. That's not a good method. You just are gonna make a mess of chalk everywhere in the home. That's why you want to hire us, because we do the right thing, the right method, and maybe it costs a couple bucks for a roll of tape, rather than a chalk line where you can use it a whole bunch and maybe it's a little cheaper. That's not worth it to us. We go for quality. That's why we use quality products. So back to another method. You can do the wedge cutting drywall method, where you have a strip of wood, real thin, maybe 1/4 inch wood, maybe even a little thinner, but that wedge is going to work in really, really old homes when you're up in an attic and you have 2 pieces of drywall sandwiched together, but there's a small gap in between. Maybe a fish tape is going to bounce around in there and not going to work for you, or same with a fish stick, maybe just won't work for you. But a chunk of wood, a solid piece of wood, strip of it, you can drill a couple of holes in the bottom of it, slam it down there, and whenever you get to a rough spot, you can just push on it real hard. And it'll break through. This method we don't usually like to use, just because if you're pushing on something hard and you want it to break through, what if you don't know what it is? Maybe it's a plumbing line, maybe it's a fitting, maybe it's something hidden in the walls that was there 20 years ago and everyone forgot about. You don't always want to break those things, so maybe steer clear of that method, but it is out there. There is a proven method for it, but we don't typically use that method very often. We'll find another way of doing it, because we don't want to have to make you open up even more walls than you have to. Another thing you can find sometimes in older homes is balloon framing. Home can be either framed balloon framing style or a directional framing style. Directional framing, that's more common in today's construction industry. Balloon framing style is where it's more open. Balloon framing style, it's a breeze, it's easy peasy. Sometimes you can find a channel on the top floor that goes all the way down to the basement, and in that channel you're going to be able to fish whatever cables you want. So you can get all the way down to your panel room and all the way up to your attic, and then you can fish cables all the way around your attic to wherever you need to go. And that method is the bee's knees when it comes to fishing cables for new circuits, provided your panel has room for new circuits. If your panel does not have room for new circuits, call us. We're your professional Edmonton electrician, and we are always happy to perform a service upgrade, add a sub panel, do whatever we need to do to get you the power that you need to go on with your day and make your life easier. I think that just about kind of sums it up regarding fishing cables through your walls in your home or in your business. As always, if you need a residential electrician, call Hauer Power Electrical. If you need a commercial electrician, that's even better. We love doing maintenance electrical and providing our customers with the best level of customer service that they can have. That's our mission, to give you power with customer service, and that's what we strive for every day on every job site. As always, at Hauer Power Electrical, we are happy to answer your questions, concerns, comments, or give you a free estimate. Give us a call, 780-935-0622, or reach out to us at info@hauerpower.ca. If you haven't seen our website, check it out, hauerpower.ca, and get in touch with us today. See what we can do for you. We're always happy to give you power. So, as always, Edmonton, take it easy and work safe out there. Have a great day.